This is KGW News at 5.
Now at 5, he complained about racial harassment at work. Then he was suddenly arrested. How a black Portland man was framed by police because his boss was friends with a chief. Plus,
this was a quick frying pan to the head.
And now students and staff are dealing with a headache. How they're trying to find answers following the sudden closure announcement of a local university. And Oregon's new plastic bag ban is turning out to be a big boom for a small Portland company.
And I know that inside they see us, they hear us, and they can no longer ignore us.
While lawmakers debated cap and trade inside, more than 1,000 people who support it filled the Capitol steps outside. They came with signs, chants, and speeches, hoping to get lawmakers' attention. The group wants legislators to take action now on climate change. Lindsay Nadrich went to Salem for us today. Lindsay?
Yeah, organizers estimate more than 1,000 people attended today's climate protection rally. The Capitol steps were overflowing with people carrying signs and chanting to show support for the cap and trade bill. If passed, the bill would essentially limit the amount of emissions that Oregonians can pump into the atmosphere over time. After several speakers, the group marched around the Capitol. Many people who attended today's rally said lawmakers need to act now because time is running out.
We've been kicking the can down the road forever, and finally now it's clear and obvious we need to do something.
And we demand that today's politicians understand one thing. There is no next time, there is no next person, and there is no next generation to solve this problem for you.
I have a 3-year-old and a 1-year-old, and I'm really concerned about the environment that they're inheriting. We have an opportunity to pass climate action now.
I raised my voice because I can't vote for 3 more years, and time is running out. Scientists gave us 10 years to take significant action to reduce climate pollution.
Well, the group said if lawmakers don't take action, they want voters to in November. Last week, thousands of protesters against cap and trade came to the Capitol. Today, there were only a couple. Laurel.
Thank you, Lindsay. Today, psychologists took the stand in the Jeremy Christian Max stabbings trial to give their theories on his mental health. The first one, Dr. Glenna Andrews, testified she couldn't come up with a formal diagnosis, but she says Christian has a slow processing speed and struggles with complex verbal and visual situations. The defense asked her to tie it back to why Christian stabbed 3 men, killing 2 on board a Max train in 2017.
There was a lot of commotion just in a normal train. There are a lot of people, they're doing a lot of different things. There were a lot of people talking, there were a lot of people eventually moving. His vision will be very singular, and my assumption would be that a person would try to protect themselves.
Christian's lawyers also called a forensic psychologist to the stand. He did come up with an autism spectrum disorder diagnosis. Prosecutors fired back, arguing that Christian is capable of functioning in the real world and knew what he was doing on the train. The trial continues tomorrow. Christian has pleaded not guilty by reason of mental disease or defect. 6,000 students at Concordia University learned this week their school will close in the spring. Hundreds are student athletes recruited to play there. A day after finding out, players spent the day today meeting with coaches, trying to plan their futures. The big question, where can they finish their college careers? Concordia University has about 250 athletes competing in 15 different varsity sports. Now they're left wondering, what's next?
Just disbelief that this is actually our reality and we're kind of having to figure things out, and starting to talk to coaches and get recruited again is not very fun.
The university says that the rest of the home games for the spring season will be free to attend. A Portland man is getting a $600,000 settlement after his wrongful arrest. Michael Fesser filed the lawsuit in 2018 against Westland's police department, saying former police chief Terry Timeus targeted him in a racially motivated investigation. It started when Fesser complained to his boss about racial discrimination at his workplace. According to court documents, Fesser's boss feared he might get sued and told former Chief Timeus about it. They were close friends. So Timeus instructed officers to build a case against Fesser, falsely accusing him of stealing from his workplace. Westland police arrested him, even though there was no evidence of a crime.
I want change in that police force, that community, and for them to understand that they can't do this to another black man, and especially not me and my children or someone else. I mean, it has to be brought to the light.
Westland police have agreed to meet with Fesser as part of a settlement. Fesser's boss and his company had already agreed with him on a settlement in a separate lawsuit. Former Chief Timeus retired in 2017 amid allegations he drove drunk off duty. Seattle has taken new action that could help renters who are in a tough spot. The city council has voted to ban evictions during the winter months between December and February. The bill does have a few exceptions. It doesn't affect landlords who own 4 units or fewer. Evictions are also still allowed if they're due to behavior that affects others. The vote came after a day of public testimony.
People are dying in the street every day because they get thrown out into it by landlords. Just stop, you will get your money.
This winter eviction legislation, even with amendments, is not the way to solve evictions. Along with other recent legislation, it's creating a more expensive and a more corporate rental market.
And I don't want evictions.
Seattle Mayor Jenny Durkin isn't on board with this. Her office says she is disappointed the council didn't have a, quote, robust discussion about programs to prevent evictions. The mayor's office said in a statement, at best, this law will simply delay evictions until March 1st, create more debt and an eviction on their record. We need real solutions to keep people in their homes. The polls have closed in New Hampshire tonight in the first in the nation primary. Democratic candidates for president campaign until the final hours, hoping for a last-second boost. Senator Bernie Sanders started the day comfortably leading in the polls, with Pete Buttigieg behind him. Amy Klobuchar, Elizabeth Warren, and Joe Biden are in a three-way battle for third. Earlier today, we spoke with NBC News senior political editor Mark Murray about whether the result in New Hampshire could give us an idea of who the Democratic frontrunner is.
They could actually let us know if there is someone like a Bernie Sanders who ends up winning decisively, and I think a lot of people would almost assume that he might be the odds-on favorite to be the Democratic nominee, although in still a very hard-fought race. On the other hand, you could actually have a tremendous amount of uncertainty where a Bernie Sanders in a very narrow victory, you could end up having Amy Klobuchar surging, you could have Pete Buttigieg winning. So I'm counting on anything from a lot of clarity on who the front runner might be to a lot of uncertainty.
Sounds like it's wide open. NBC Nightly News will have extensive coverage of the primary tonight. Lester Holt will anchor the show live from New Hampshire, coming up right after this newscast at 5:30. Does the new fee for paper bags at the grocery store have you thinking about a reusable one? If only I could remember to take them out of the car. Well, look no further than a Southeast Portland sewing company. Our Keely Chalmers checked out Spool Town. It's a small company with big bag plans in the wake of the plastic bag ban. Keely?
Now, Laurel, this is not your standard sewing shop. Make no mistake, it is a factory, but not like the factories I normally see. From the giant roll-up glass front door to the very visible production floor, transparency is what Spool Town is all about. The owner's motto, what you see is what you get. For the past 9 years, the Portland company has been making bags and accessories for people all over the country. We're talking everything from high-end bags down to simple grocery totes. And co-owner Dana Hinger says since Oregon's plastic bag ban went into effect at the beginning of the year, business is getting better.
Since the bag ban has gone in Portland, we've seen a few alternate companies reach out for sure. Big, small, it's kind of across the board. Looking for a bag that they can put their label on to then resell.
Nice, lovely, beautiful
Yeah, and these are businesses looking for reusable bags like these. And Hinger says her shop can make anywhere from 10 bags to 10,000, depending on what the business needs. Now, the company does both wholesale and retail business. Anyone can buy one of those grocery totes for $18. You can find a list of all the bags from grocery up to fancy on the company's website, spooltown.com.